Welcome to the Abrams Boxing Show, powered by Last Out Media and brought to you by www.15rounds.com, the worldwide leader in boxing news. Also, Abrams Boxing PR Media and Broadcasting, the industry standard for boxing media relations and play-by-play broadcasting. Also, check out www.abramsboxing.com, Abrams Boxing on YouTube, as well as M. Abrams Boxing on Twitter and Marc Abrams Boxing on Instagram. Hello, boxing fans. Welcome to another edition of the Abrams Boxing Show. I am Marc Abrams, and got a lot to get to this week as we took last week off due to the holiday, and got a couple weeks worth of results and news, and we'll preview this week's double trilogy action when Tyson Fury takes on Derek Chisora, as well as Roman Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada get it on for a third time. But let's take a look back the last couple weeks. Again, some of these results may be just a tad dated, and just bear with us. Again, I'm Marc Abrams, owner of 15rounds.com, boxing PR man, boxing broadcaster, and owner of Abrams Boxing on YouTube. Catch a lot of great interviews. Going to do a big announcement at the end of this show in terms of some awesome content coming to Abrams Boxing on YouTube as well. So let's start it out. For the first time in nearly 3 years, WBA Cruiserweight champion Arsen Goulamanian got back in the ring as he won a 12-round unanimous decision to defend his title against mandatory challenger Alexei Orgarov, who's now 11-1, 7 knockouts. That took place at the Les Canet, France, and he kept Goulamanian is now the still the champion. Scores of 116, 112 twice, and 117, 111. Also, WBO number one light heavyweight Anthony Yarde went to 23-2, notched his 22nd knockout as he stalked Stefani Koikov in the third round of a fight in Tedford, England, a couple of weeks back. That sets up a big fight between WBC, WBO, and IBF light heavyweight champion Arthur Beterbiev, 18-0, 18 knockouts. He will take on Yarde, 23-2 now, with 22 knockouts. Again, you combine the records, 41-2 with 40 knockouts. So that fight's going to take place January 28th in England at the OVO Arena in Wembley, right in London. So that's going to be a big event live January 28th, ESPN Plus in the United States, BT, I believe, in England as well. In a little bit of an upset, former UFC fighter and NFL All-Pro defensive end Greg Hardy went to 2-0 with 1 knockout as he defeated Hasim Rahman Jr. by a 4-round unanimous decision in Austin, Texas. Scores were 39-36 3 times for Hardy, who, Rahman wanted to fight Jake Paul at the end of last year. Obviously, earlier this year, there were some complications with the weight. So Rahman took a fight with Greg Hardy, who ballooned all the way up to 320 pounds. Hardy played defensive end with the Panthers and Cowboys. At about 265, 270, went to the UFC. Didn't fight over 265 pounds, and I don't know what he's been doing to get himself up to 320, but whatever it is, it was successful as he defeated Hasim Rahman Jr. by unanimous decision. Unbeaten WBO number 1, WBC number 2, WBA number 3, IBF number 3, middleweight Jaime Munguia went to 41-0, notched his 33rd stoppage as he stopped Gonzalo Correa in the third round of their bout in Guadalajara, Mexico. Correa now 21-6, 8 knockouts. Munguia needs to get, what's the phrase, poop, for better of politically correct, or get off the pot. It's time for Munguia to fight somebody. I know he's been wanting now to fight Golovkin, a fight with Jamal Charlo just never materialized. So I think it's time for Munguia, with that gaudy record of 41-0, to finally take a real test. I think a fight with Golovkin can happen. Obviously, we know about what happened about 5 years ago when Golovkin tried to fight Munguia, but the Las Vegas Athletic Commission shot the fight down due to, I guess, the lack of experience for Munguia. Munguia now I think he's had probably about 15 fights since then against better opposition than he fought in his first 20 or so fights. So now it's now or never for Munguia to kind of up his competition level, maybe a fight with Gennady Golovkin. And he is ranked, I believe Golovkin's a WBA and IBF champion. So Munguia is ranked number 3 in both those sanctioning bodies. So a fight with Golovkin could be in the cards. A couple weeks ago, I was lucky enough, actually in the co-feature bout of the Munguia card, WBC number 13, WBO number 14, RG Cortez got dropped twice but managed to win a 10-round split decision over Eric Lopez. Cortez 24-3-2. Now Lopez drops to 16-7-2. Cortez, who just fought Juan Francisco Estrada, actually gave him a good fight a couple months back, and we'll talk about Estrada in a couple of minutes. Fight I was lucky enough to call on BXNG TV a couple weeks back in Washington, D.C. Greg Outlaw went to 11-1, notched his 6th stoppage as he stopped Wilfredo Buevis in their rematch in the first round. Outlaw landed a huge left hook that the crowd in Washington, D.C. went nuts over, dropped Buevis, who's now 22-16. Outlaw, good little prospect, bright kid, Bowie State graduate. And I was lucky enough to call the fight with Michael Fox on BXNG TV. So we'll see more from Greg Outlaw. Also, that night in Oklahoma City, super bantamweight contender Elijah Pierce stopped Juan Carlos Pena. So Pierce is a guy who's moving up the rankings in the WBC, 122-pounder. He has a couple losses, but he's got several quality wins promoted by Jeter Promotions, and we should see more from Elijah Pierce. I know they're looking to try to get him a big fight in his next outing. Last Tuesday night in New York, Myquan Williams won a 10-round unanimous decision over Clarence Booth. Williams 19-0-1 now, 8 knockout scores were 99-90, 97-92, 98-91. They're both guys registered knockdowns in the first round, but Myquan Williams comes back to win pretty much the rest of the fight. Booth drops to 21-6. On the same card, Stephen Shaw went to 18-0. He scored a 8-round unanimous decision over Rydell Booker, 26-7-1. Shaw, who's one of the top American, I guess, prospects at this point. I think they're going to look to step him up even more in his next fight. He just had a win over Joey DeWaco, now Rydell Booker. So we should see Shaw in a pretty decent step-up fight. He's promoted by DeBella Entertainment and Top Rank, managed by Split Team Management. So we should see Stephen Shaw, get in a good fight as well. This past weekend, there were a couple big fights over in England. A couple big fights over in England that we saw. WBO interim super middleweight champion John Ryder. He won that bout. He was victorious when Zach Parker could not continue after round 4. He injured his right hand in a bout that headlined at the O2 Arena in London. So John Ryder, who now will probably get on a short list for a possible May showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Ryder's a guy who's grinded away, had a tough loss against Callum Smith, beat Danny Jacobs, beat the undefeated Zach Parker on Saturday night. So look for possible John Ryder against Canelo Alvarez in May, maybe in England, maybe a stadium in England. That'd be a big deal, I think, for everyone. I mean, Canelo, I'm sure, wouldn't mind taking his talents to London, and could be a big event. Across the way in London, Jermaine Franklin and Dillian Whyte got it on in a big heavyweight fight of the big guys. Saw Whyte get the 12-round majority decision win in a fight that, a lot of people on the internet and Twitter world thought that Jermaine Franklin should have deserved the fight. Scores are 115-115. They were overruled 116-112 twice for Dillian Whyte, who's now 29-3, who's coming off his loss to Tyson Fury. And Franklin suffers his first defeat. He's 21-1 with 14 knockouts. I do have another fight. Obviously, we want to talk about Regis Prograis scoring an 11th round stoppage over Jose Zepeda this past Saturday Night Live. It was on ppv.com, which I was lucky enough to host a chat on. We great conversation with a lot of the boxing fans. It was also on pay-per-view, Fight TV pay-per-view as well. Prograis now the reigning champion for the WBC at 140 pounds. He's got a lot of options. Do we see a rematch with Josh Taylor? Should he defeat Jack Catterall? Should Catterall win a Taylor-Prograis fight? There's other quality fights in the 140-pound division for Regis Prograis. Prograis was ahead 98-92 twice and 97-93 entering the 11th round. Also on the card, knockout win for Bakhodier Jalioff, the 2020/2021, because the Olympics did take place in 2021. Gold medal winner. He stopped Curtis Harper. Charles Conwell got a majority decision over Jose Abreu. Yocosta Valley moved up. She's now the 108-pound world champion. She won 2 bouts. She beat Bermudez, and Fernando Vargas Jr. opened up the pay-per-view with this savage knockout in his fight as well. This week, as we mentioned before, there's a couple of trilogy bouts that are going to take place. Tyson Fury, 32-0-1 with 23 knockouts, will defend the WBC Heavyweight Championship as he takes on Derek Chisora. Chisora, 33-12, 23 knockouts at Tottenham Stadium in London. Fury is looking to go 3-0 against Chisora, having defeated Chisora by decision, 12-round decision in 2011, and a stoppage victory in 10 in 2014. The fight will be on ESPN Plus in America and in BT box office pay-per-view in the United Kingdom. Expect a crowd of over 60, close to 70,000 people in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Arena. I like Tyson Fury knockout inside of 6 rounds as he gets ready to fight Alexander Usyk at some point in the first, I'd say first half. I know people are saying first quarter. We'll say the first half of 2023, which will be for all the marbles at heavyweight. I think they'll figure out with Hrgovic, who's now trying to get in on the IBF side with his mandatory. I think everyone will figure out, and bigger heads and better heads will prevail, and we will see an Usyk fight against Fury in the first half of 2023. Saturday night on the Zone, just a mouth-watering thriller fight. If you're not really into the Fury Chisora thing, you're definitely going to be into Juan Francisco Estrada, 43-3, 28 knockouts. Take on Roman Gonzalez, 51-3, 41 knockouts. This fight is the rubber match that will take place at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. I was lucky enough to broadcast the first fight, which is an amazing fight at the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena. Just an incredible fight. And the rematch delivered as well. Gonzalez won the first fight. Estrada won a close decision. A lot of people thought it was controversial. I'm picking Estrada in this fight. I think, I don't know. I just have a feeling he may get, fighting in Arizona. He's got to have a lot of Mexican support behind him. And I think we will see Juan Francisco Estrada, continue his WBC super flyweight title. That's going to be on the line after Jesse Rodriguez vacated and is going to go down to flyweight. Also, Saturday night, I'll be broadcasting live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a show with RDR Promotions, the main event. We'll see undefeated super middleweight David Stevens take on Christopher Brooker. Also, Mark Dawson on the card and some good local prospects from the Philadelphia area. So bxngtv.com Saturday night, 7 o'clock. See some good Philadelphia action. So a lot of good stuff. So we got a whole bunch of news items, like I said, as we were off last week for the holiday. BKFC, the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, headed by my good friend David Feldman, announced the signing of former WBA super welterweight champion Austin Trout to a multi-fight contract. Trout, who's got a pro boxing record of 35-5-1, 18 knockouts, 37 years old, had a big win over Miguel Cotto. He's now going to try his hand, no pun intended, at bare knuckle boxing. Showtime confirmed that later this year, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis will meet in a much talked about, much awaited bout at 136 pounds. Basically, it's a grudge match. It will take place probably mid-April. That's the date that they're looking at, maybe around April 15th. But first, both of them will schedule interim fights. In fact, Gervonta Davis's fight is already scheduled January 7th, as he will take on WBA super featherweight champion Hector Luis Garcia, 16-0, 10 knockouts. That will take place at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. I should be in attendance for that one as well. We'll have some great content on Abrams Boxing, 15rounds.com, Abrams Boxing YouTube. And as of this recording, we don't know yet who Ryan Garcia is going to fight. Did I say Mikey Garcia before? Ryan Garcia, who he's going to fight. And the rumor is January 21st could be a date for Ryan Garcia to see who he fights. ESPN and Top Rank announced that Jose Pedraza is out of his December 10th fight with former undisputed lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez. He will be replaced by Sandor Martin, 40-2, 13 knockouts. Lopez, 17-1, 13 knockouts. That place will take place at Madison Square Garden on January 10th, live on ESPN after the Heisman Trophy presentation. Martin, is the guy who defeated and ultimately retired Mikey Garcia. So Teofimo gets a real good replacement opponent. The WBO Championship Committee has ordered champion Janabek Alimkhanallah to face the aforementioned Jaime Munguia. They should have started negotiations. If not, there'll be a purse bid in 15 days. So we will see Munguia if he takes that fight, or he maybe goes to a fight with Gennady Golovkin. Top Rank also confirmed. Actually, no, that was the Teofimo news. The WBA continues to try to cut down on the championships, consolidate. I couldn't think of the word. So it was determined Errol Spence Jr. and Amanda Stanionis have been ordered to fight. So we'll see. Actually, no. Errol Spence is going to fight Keith Thurman, and Stanionis is going to fight Virgil Ortiz, and the winners will fight each other. We'll see if Terrence Crawford has something to say about that. But that's the rumor that Spence will fight Thurman. Hasn't been announced yet, but we will see. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will get that going. On December 17th, Showtime Championship Boxing will have 3 elimination bouts, all pretty good fights. The main event's going to be terrific. WBA number 2, Michelle Rivera take on number 10, Frank Martin in a lightweight bout. Rivera 24-0, 14 knockouts. Martin 16-0, 12 knockouts. The card will also see former IBF super middleweight champion Jose Uzcategui, 32-4, 27 knockouts, take on former amateur standout Vladimir Shishkin, 13-0, 8 knockouts in a 12-round IBF 168-pound elimination bout. See if Uzcategui can get back in. Maybe he fights Plant or somebody again, or David Benavidez, who he was supposed to fight, and the fight kind of got axed. The TV opener will have Vincent Astrabolo, the guy who actually defeated Guillermo Rigondeaux, who's 17-3, 12 knockouts. He will take on Nikolai Potapov, 23-2, 11 knockouts in a 12-round IBF bantamweight elimination bout as well. Okay, a couple more news items to get to before we get to my big announcement. The undercard is set for the Terrence Crawford David Avanesian show on BLK Prime on December 10th in Omaha, Nebraska. Former MMA standout and legend Chris Cyborg, 1-0, 1 knockout, scheduled to make her U.S. boxing debut when she takes on Gabrielle Holloway in the co-feature bout. 3 other fights will make the pay-per-view broadcast. Arnold Kigai, 18-1, 11 knockouts, takes on Eduardo Baez, 21-3, 7 knockouts. Heavyweight Jeremiah Milton, 7-0, 6 knockouts, takes on big 380-pound Dewan Calloway, 5-1, 5 knockouts. Steven Nelson, 17-0, 14 knockouts, will take on James Ballard, 10-4, 3 knockouts in a light heavyweight bout. The WBA Championship Committee has granted a period of 15 days for Leo Santa Cruz and regular champion Lee Wood to reach an agreement on their contracts. If not, they will have a purse bid December 12th in Orlando at the WBA's convention. And that has something to do with my announcement, the WBA convention. Wink, wink. The fight, is, like I said, they're just trying to reduce and consolidate all the titles of WBA. So we'll see if Wood and Santa Cruz get it on. Unfortunately, we're going to end with two sad notes this week. Former world champion Moises Fuentes passed away at the age of 37. Fuentes, who never really recovered from his brutal knockout loss to David Cuellar about 13 months ago. Fuentes, the former WBO minimum weight world champion and former interim light flyweight champion, and was 25-7, 14 knockouts. I watched that fight, and it's a very sad situation that Moises Fuentes, he was carried out of the ring, and we really didn't get too many updates, but obviously was in a bad way, and he was he was a good fighter, a world champion, and rest in peace. And also sad to report that a guy from my hometown, the former IBF junior middleweight champion, Buster Drayton, passed away on November 20th. Drayton was the former IBF junior middleweight champion, and I knew him a little bit, and always had a smile on his face. He always had an upbeat demeanor. He was a real good man. He actually was in really good shape until he got sick. He was competing in exhibition fights, and he was always very sunny disposition about himself, Buster Drayton. And I know his former manager Ivan Cohen and son Brian, and who manages fighters, are very close to him, and I know this has hit them hard. And just condolences for a good guy, Buster Drayton, and he still loved being around the scene, and it was just a joy to be around with. So now I'm going to get to my announcement. I'll be attending the WBA convention starting on December 11th, live at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, Florida. And I'll be doing live podcasting each day. And then I'll also be interviewing other guests. Me a lot of great fighters, past, present, and future. I know Jake Paul is going to be there, Bernard Hopkins, Marco Antonio Barrera, all kinds of guys and girls. I know Franchon Cruz, Amanda Serrano, I think are going to be there. And I know they're going to do a whole list of all the fighters that are going to be at the convention. I can't wait to be there. So check out Abrams Boxing on YouTube each day beginning December 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. I'll be broadcasting live with interviewing some of the greatest fighters of all time, some of the greatest fighters of today. So I just would love for everyone to tune in. You're going to, and this platform where you're watching on now, or even listening to, you'll be able to hear all those interviews one way or another. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the Abrams Boxing Show this week. Again, you can follow me at @AbramsBoxing on Twitter, Marc Abrams Boxing on Instagram, Abrams Boxing on YouTube. And don't forget, the world's best boxing website with all the up-to-date news, interviews, videos, audio, everything you got, 15rounds.com. That's www.15rounds.com. Thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.